wonder why it's falling down on me. The sky, the sky, the sky.
Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. All right, this is day one. In the past 2 days, I've never been harassed so much on my cell phone, my computer, my Facebook account is blocked. Oh man, everything's happening. I put an article up about a witness that was going to Lanai on the island when the disaster hit, and she explained everything she saw and was watching. So I guess they didn't like that either because I put that everywhere I could. But basically, anybody that gets it, sees it, please listen to it or pull up that link and pull up what she actually said, and what was really going on. Uh, I'm not going to get into that. That's another problem. I don't want to lose the show completely today. So now, this is day one. All right. This is for anybody that's interested in moving forward at a spiritual place or to a spiritual place. But I'm going to start off real simple. And we're going to go from like day one is today. I don't know how many days this is going to be, but I'm going to go through day after day until I'm finished with the whole thing that I want to do. I'm not charging money for this. You can download the site after it's over. So please, I have a couple people. I don't see them. I think they got problems getting on. I've been having problems every which way. I'm surprised I'm even being able to do the show today. Like I said, I'm being blocked just about everywhere. So my first thing is we're going to start off with the most simplest thing. But I really think you should get out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil so you can take notes and write a couple things down. So we're going to start with the point is, for you, what is spiritual? And you should really write down your definition of what spiritual is to you right now, right? Because it's going to change, and it always changes. But how much is it going to change to, and what's it going to change really what you believe and think? Well, when did the word get created? A long time ago. But the other word that wasn't a long time ago is LOVE. And the other word that we're going to get into in hardcore a lot, ascending and ascension. Two separate meanings, two separate words. One's everybody does and one nobody does. I'm just making sure everything's running right so far. It looks okay. All right. So in your wildest ideas and thoughts and feelings, when you say, oh, I'm spiritual, what does it mean? Most people will give you some great stories. Well, I go to church on Sunday. And that's usually the max of it. Some people will say, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And what does that mean? And usually we're going to go into these a little bit longer on each topic. We kind of try to get into a couple of things today so you understand where we're going with everything that I'm trying to put out there. I was involved just about everything. All right. I'm totally involved in the UFO world right now as well, and that's going crazy. But I'm going to try to keep that a little bit separate because it's not going to help anybody become spiritual. Aliens cannot help us become spiritual people. They're not going to come here and give us some great spiritual knowledge or help us become loving people. So let's bypass that for now. When you think about your spiritual life, what in it was spiritual? Day you were born, day you got baptized, communion, whatever words you like, that if you're a Christian. But more New Age people don't believe in any of that stuff. They don't believe in religions. But they do believe in a universal energy consciousness. Buddha taught that. Buddha didn't believe in God. But when we go into the universal energy, and people say they're connected to that, and then they all try to say we're all connected. Well, everything's connected in some vague way in this reality, in the physical reality. We all breathe air, we drink water, we can communicate with each other and things like that. But when you go into the astral plane, things change greatly. And that's the plane all soul goes when it leaves this reality to the next. And it either stays there or comes back. I'm going to go into details on all these things, but just trying to build up to getting you to a point where we can start. So, your mother and father, did they make you go to church? I was forced up until I was 14. I was baptized at 14 as well. At that point, I don't know why, but I had the ability to walk away from Christianity. I mean, I was going to church, and they had children, a class for children in the morning, and then we went into church for the preacher telling his story. So it was a pretty long morning for me when I was little. Then we had to listen to the choir sing, which I hated. All right, choir music doesn't do anything for me, and especially the people in the choir that I had to listen to. But when you sit in church, what are you thinking about? Thinking about God? Thinking about what He's saying? Are you thinking about going out and playing, going out and fishing, going out, whatever? You know, when you say you're spiritual and you go to church, what does that even mean? Oh, I pray to Jesus. I pray to Moses. I pray to whatever your religion is. Really? Now, when you come home, okay, that's Sunday usually or Saturday. What happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Usually you're working most of that time. You're watching TV when you come home. Start eating and drinking or smoking, relaxing usually. Or you get a hobby, and then you save whatever days off from work you have to go fishing, to go play sports with friends, camping, things like that, hang gliding, whatever the fad is that you feel that you need to be part of. Now, where's spiritual fit into any of this? Even the part that you're sitting in church. I hope I'm loud enough. I'm sorry if it wasn't loud enough. I hope it's loud enough now. But let me go into the comments to see if anything's going on. I mean, people usually confirm or tell me things that something's wrong. But sports have nothing to do with spirituality. Why? Because there's no connection. Playing baseball, football, hockey, whatever, swimming, you name it, has no connection to your spiritual awareness. Your strength, physical strength, has no connection to spiritual awareness either. All right. So when we say, oh, well, is he spiritual? And I'll tell you this, I always check to see who's supposed to be spiritual on the planet. And I come up with 5 names. Type online, 5 most spiritual people. There's a couple other men coming in and out of that, a couple women too. Sorry. But the names that you're going to get, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, the Dalai Lama, the Pope, and even Oprah. All right. So I want to stick to the topic. I'm not going to go into anything else. People, when you write in your comments, please. Yeah, it's a disaster happened. I'm in Hawaii. I mean, 106 people, 110 people died in about 6 hours. They found 60 people today alive. But outside of that, is there anything spiritual there going on? Well, at a higher level that most people don't know. It's called karma. And karma relates to your spiritual awareness. Whether you create it or stop making it or working it off. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with that word. but it all affects you, your life, your death, and your future lives. Most people do not work off karma in a lifetime because they're creating it. If you see what we're doing to the planet, you know we're not making it move forward in any way. The things that are going around us, the storms, the weather, the changing, moving of the planet, all these things are effect of different things. I'm going to try to stay not talking about all that either, because I'm on a watch list, and I already warned about losing my YouTube channel and everything else. So if I do, I'll go to another site, and I probably should soon, because I'm in AOL. I've been in it since the day one when it first came out, and they block a lot of the things I say there. Oh, well, we don't. That's not approvable. You say little words, and it doesn't go by. You have to change a word, like killing, death, and all those kind of words. Make them sound better. Oh, they kind of left this reality. You have to make it so that the computer doesn't say, oh, that's a bad word. But I'm sure there's people on my site watching me a lot now, especially what's going on. I'm trying to get back into Facebook. I had to send my driver's license 3 times, and they said, oh, no, this isn't clear enough. You can't come back to Facebook. Keep sending it to us. But when we talk about spiritualism, do you talk to your friends about it? And who are they? I'm not going to attack the 5 spiritual people right now, but keep that in your mind, who are supposed to be the top. Now, when we talk about a minister, a rabbi, a pope, and things like that, what makes them spiritual, and who says they're spiritual? Most paths, like the pope, was passed down since John in the Bible time. There was always a pope. But it was passed down. John was appointed the Pope, and the rest of the time it's been passed down. All right? I mean, God doesn't come out of the sky and say, okay, you're the new Pope. So people that say this, that, and the other thing, no, it's man accepted, man chosen, man does it by himself, creating who and what. All right? So when we say who's spiritual, who do we know that's spiritual? Name one person. If you got a paper and pencil, let me just let the little guy out. My little dog's bugging me already. Oh, sorry about that. Come in or out? I'm doing the show. So, here's the thing. We have 125 years to get what we need to get in this lifetime. We usually don't get there. All right? Most people aren't really trying. They don't know how to try. And they don't know why they should be trying in the first place. All right. So let's start again. Who's teaching you what you think you know? Well, if you're being forced to go to church, your mom, dad, preacher, minister, rabbi. Now, families in other countries are locked into that, and they're a lot more controlled, each person, in that than we are in the United States. That's a little bit of freedom that we have that most religious people in other countries do not have. Basically, we have so-called freedom, but limited to what rich government people want us to have. The Constitution, does that reflect anything spiritual? Well, if you know anything about it, it talks about the right to be a religious person and follow that. But you can't. The government has their regulations and rules on how far you can be and not. Now, I studied just about everything there is to study on this realm and the other realms. But I was a high priest when I was 16. And witchcraft, demonism, and all those words were not legal in any way. I lived in New Jersey, and they were still putting signs on the street. If you know a witch, put their address here, because if they did, they would try to blow up their car, burn the house down, and do all kinds of things. 52, 62, in the 60s. All right. But I had a friend who was a wrestler and a lawyer, and she was a really big woman. Well, she went to court, made witchcraft and an actual religion through the court of law in New Jersey, and it passed. So at that point, it was no longer illegal or a sin or any words you want to put around it to the government and to the people. And they started leaving people that followed that alone. But then all the other things started coming out. I mean, there's white and black witches and all those words, but then you have all the religions from other countries coming here, Satanism, Santeria, and things like that. And they all came into New Jersey. Realize New Jersey was the starting point of the United States. George Washington set his headquarters in New York City on the top of the island, well, the end of it, and he was able to see the East and West River. All right, but he did something that's a little bit more spiritual. For a word, it's not really much more spiritual than what we are, but he was remote viewing at that time. I can go into the whole story. I know more about that than probably 99.9% of anybody else on this planet. I spent years in the Jumel Mansion, which was his house, when he had his daughter there, Madame Jumel, and all that. But all the people that were killed there, I was doing ghost busting there when I was 16. It was the most haunted house. Busloads of kids used to come from school, and before they got off the bus, they would see a lady standing in the window and things like that. But I freed most of the spirits that were there, except one, Madame Jumel. He said she'll stay there until the house disappears. But I found documents in secret passages and everything. We were there. We were allowed to do anything we want. I was with a friend who was the top psychic in the United States, rated by the New York Psychic Center. And she would channel all the time. The second we walked in there, and it was her and me doing all this stuff until producers came in. They wanted to do a movie. But I just to say, is that spiritual? Everybody has a level of what's spiritual. I don't consider it spiritual. All right. Ghost busting. Well, it's an awareness, helping people. Is it spiritual? Being able to see spirits is more apt to be called spiritual than not. But now, I'm not going to get into that yet, because that's a hardcore thing that we need to talk about. Psychics talking to ghosts and spirits. What it really means and what it entails. When you die, you don't become an angel. You don't become a Superman, super lady, whatever. You do not. You're still the same soul as wherever you were when you left. You don't become super aware because you died. And because of that, you'll probably reincarnate. Most likely. Probably 98% you will reincarnate again. If you're aware enough to stay there, you get to stay there. The Juma Mansion was built in Harlem before Harlem existed. And from 2 miles, it was George Washington's stables for all the horses for the cavalry. And his cannons there, everything. But that's the only thing that remains there other than these high rises and the worst area in New York City. But dying, is that spiritual? It depends where you are with your awareness. Dying, going to the astral plane, and coming back and starting all over without awareness is not spiritual. You say what you want. If you don't know what's going to happen when you die, that's not spiritual. All right. So getting back to your mother, your family, your friends teaching you what they think they know. Did your mother ever teach you anything about protection from entities and things like that? No. Do they do it now? No. In some cases, some New Age people, they would say, well, burn some sage and what the native people did and put this around the house, hold the crystal and things like that. It's a physical reality. You play with physical things in a physical reality. You don't play with spiritual things in the physical reality. It doesn't work. It destroys it. And I don't know how much I want to get into that right now, but I was a high priest at 16. I was learning about there's 32 psychic abilities. Sure, you can go online and pull up 120 and 130, but they say throwing bones down, throwing papers on the ground, spilling coffee, everything is a channel device for prophecy and all that. You can make anything you want in your own mind. You can see whatever you want in your own mind as well. But when you're being programmed, if you never went to go to church, you don't learn the foundation of religion, which is, I feel, important. Realize there's 2,000 religions, over 2,000 religions right now, but only two have the most following, which is about 60% of the planet. Christianity has 2.5 billion people. Muslims have 2.3 billion people, and they're changing. Those numbers are going to change greatly. I don't even know if they're staying close to each other right now. So then you got the 2,000 religions to put all these other people in. Different gods, different ideas, different beliefs, and everything else. No beliefs. Well, Christianity is based on Christ. All right. Hinduism, let's start with Hinduism. They work with deities. And deities is another word for little gods in my book. So were they spiritual? Well, probably at a certain level, low level. But here's the thing. If you know anything about Hinduism, which is the first religion on the planet, first religion created after animal worship. All right, and during that time frame, they were working with these deities. You know all the names: Shiva, Durga, Kali, Queen Tara. But that split into Buddhism, which went up into Tibet, and that became a little different. Not much, but it's different. But they were working with deities, not a single god. And a single god wasn't worshipped at all, ever, for a long time. So who are these deities? They're appointed by God on these different planes, going back to God, the levels of dimensional, for a word, realms, but each one's better than the one below it, and you just can't go into another one without going past these deities. So, and I don't know too many people that even know how to see them, go approach them, and then go past them. People talk about masters. Masters are on the astral plane, people. All right? They don't go beyond that. Any master. All right? Otherwise, they become a different kind of a being. Our physical body, male, female, is here in the physical reality, and you make it what you want on the astral plane. You usually don't change the sex while you're there. All right? Meaning, you're male, you died, you're a male there. You're a female here, you died, you're a female there. But when you reincarnate, you can reincarnate into a male or a female body. All right, that's a fact. Whether you want to believe it or not, I'm giving you the straight out truth, people. I spent my whole life in this field, in this realm, out of this realm, dealing with everything you could possibly imagine or not imagine. How big is God? How big are angels? Do you have a clue? Oh, well, he walked in my house and he said, well, how big is an alien? Really? Do you know they can change size, change shape, just like demons can, entities can? But people don't talk about that. We have our own problems, and they don't take active roles like they did in the beginning of time. During the Hindu times, deities walked the earth. Then aliens were working with the people on the earth. So it changed greatly when aliens decided to take over. They weren't better. Deities just left. They felt they couldn't change reality. Mankind wasn't willing to take a step forward. Sex was the only thing important in Hinduism. Sorry to tell you that.
Mr. Secretary, I have listed
Sorry about who that is. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to shut it off. Hold on.
testimony for this. And I think the frustration
I don't know where that's coming from. But deities, there's many. The same as in the Bible and Revelations, it talks about there's many angels. Only 9 are mentioned in the Bible. And sadly, in Christianity, I'd say about 80% that do know or say they work with angels work with 2 of them. Why is that? They don't even know the other ones' names. They're all similar. I'm bad with names completely. So I had dyslexia and I have VH. I can't even say the letters, but I had lots of problems, and I still do. But here's the thing: they do not relate to each other. When a person says, "Well, I work with this deity," okay. Well, I work with an angel. They're separate energy, separate thoughts. Now, Muslims say they got a lot of their teachings from Gabriel. Gabriel's an angel. All right. Angels aren't teachers in the physical reality. They don't open schools down here and start teaching and things like that. People can make up anything they want in their mind, but there's little you can teach here because what we learn here is limited to a physical reality. And beings on the astral plane already are beyond that. But when you're here, you're got a body that's deteriorating. It's born and deteriorates from the day it's born. I mean, Buddha's saying is think about death every minute, because every minute you're getting closer to death, which is true. But how long is it? How long do you want to make that? Can you make a choice? Everybody's killing themselves at different ways, different speeds. All right. Is it better or worse? It doesn't matter. We're all going to die before we're 125. Now, this story is a couple of people 150, 140, like Moses was what, 1,000 years old. Prove it. All right. They didn't have calendars, didn't have dates, didn't even have years and things like that they could relate to and carve and know it all. All right. When Moses walked his people around in circles, everybody he brought out of the city died. It's not written out in detail in the Bible. They all died. They all had children when they were walking around in this circle when they got to the promised land. And he wasn't allowed in. Christians don't even know really why he wasn't allowed in. He broke the 10 Commandments. He did it. Well, killing is probably one of the worst sins for Christians or people on this planet. All right? And he had 3,000 killed the second he came off the mountain. He just supposedly talked to God. He comes down and kills people. Has people killed. Well, does that sound spiritual? Then again, when he brought all these people to a promised land, which was never a city, and when they went inside the city, there were people there. Were these people spiritual that were there? No, they killed them all. So, when you follow religion, it tells you they're not telling you the truth from day one. If you read the Bible, you believe in the Old Testament, which religions do, Adam and Eve is such a horrible, twisted story. Even when supposedly God talks, he talks about our kind. God doesn't say our kind. It is what it is, period. All right, but when it says our kind, even when it related to the animals, well, our kind. Our, O-U-R, our. So what's that mean? Is that anything spiritual? No. All right, I'm not going to get into it. I mean, the Pope came out a couple of years ago saying Adam and Eve was a fake story. Well, it's a story, twisted. All right. But does it matter? No. And then the Pope comes out, who's supposed to be one of the most spiritual people on the planet, says hell doesn't exist. Well, I write him a letter almost every day. But hell does exist. We're living in it. This is hell, people. I mean, this is where the body, everything we are, can feel pain, create pain, see pain, be affected by pain. When you step out of your body and soul leaves this body here, it's no longer in the same place. It's not working from a mind which has 5 senses. Soul doesn't. All right. So, I mean, I could debate the idea that we take our, just mind consciousness because it's limited to five senses. So isn't. It's not related or confined to a certain amount of colors. All right. Uh, doesn't need to breathe air, doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to do any of those things. So the concept of mind and consciousness, oh, we're all one consciousness. No, we're not. If I was part of this one consciousness of planet Earth, I would beg to be destroyed completely, every aspect of me and my soul. Because this isn't anything close to a spiritual world. It was, but it sure isn't even close to it now. It was destroyed. Not the story of Adam and Eve, but the Garden of Eden did exist on planet Earth. And it was called Atlantis. And that's the only time planet Earth was spiritual, aware beings. Every single one of them had psychic abilities. You couldn't lie, couldn't steal, you didn't steal. Everybody knew what you would think and thought, and nobody hurt each other. We didn't eat meat. I could go on and on. It was beautiful. But three different alien races came down, destroyed Atlantis. And I'm not going to go into that whole story right now, but I need you to awaken to the different aspects of levels of awareness, thoughts, consciousness, where you think, where you're going to go with your thinking. Because what I'm going to try to lead you is the furthest away from the physical reality. The more you attach to yourself, to this planet, to this reality, the further you pull away from spiritual truth. Go to these spiritual masters. A spiritual teacher should help a person rise above them. Whatever level they're at, rise above them. You know, in the Bible, it says, Jesus said there'll be many greater than he, but there aren't. And it's sad to say there weren't ever anyone greater after they killed him. All right, now I'm going to go into a lot of words later, reincarnation, all right, which is really important. Soul travel, two of the most important words you need to learn and understand. And obviously, the third word, karma. All three of them predict and tell and choose what you're going to do, what you're going to become in any lifetime. Now, for people that are religious, I tell them to read Revelations 3 times. It's short. You can read it in a day. Read it 3 times. Listen to what's being said. Listen to what's going to happen. And listen to what sins can't be forgiven, which they should, because they think they can go to confession and things like that and be forgiven for the sins. And, some psychic healer can come up to you and heal you. Even Oprah claims she has no karma. She worked with Deepak Chopra and Nekatoli for a long time. I went to every workshop she did, 21-day workshops with her, and tried to write letters. I never got a reply from her either. In 24 years about. Never received a reply. I was close to where she lived in California. I couldn't find out exactly where. But I just wrote my book and I wanted to throw it over the fence and throw it on our property. But I never got a reply. And even in those workshops, they left my messages up that I wrote, and a lot of them were directed to her and stuff like that. People claiming they're spiritual. Something you will not hear me say. I'm a spiritual being. I'm the most spiritual this or anything. No. I don't use the word spiritual. Because I'm not. You only become spiritual when you leave this reality. Spiritual energy, spiritual being has a high energy. It would destroy everything around it. And I know that by what I did, which I'm not going to get into right now. I don't have enough time today. We're going to go step by step. And like I said, people will either like it or not. The shows are recorded, so they could always go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, how many of them I'm going to do to complete this series. I'm not charging money. I don't do anything for money right now. I mean, I worked most of my life, but I'm retired, and I don't want to stay here that much longer. And I mean, now that the government's on my tail right now, I don't know what they're planning on doing or what they can do or what they will do. I never know. But I was at Sergeant 18 for 6 years, and we put pictures of UFOs out there for that whole time frame. Real pictures of real UFOs and everything else, and we lectured all around the United States, and nothing happened to him or me, except we did a show with Kerry Cassidy for 9 months. We had the biggest following that she ever had. We had more people in our chat room any night that we did the show, and we always showed at least 5 pictures of UFOs every night. We did one show a week. But we showed the pictures every night that we did. But here's the thing, people. It's all gone. There's no documents, no videos of any of that around. All right? And the bad part is we had a fight, and we separated, and I think he sold out because he had a lot of money, bought a house, bought cars, and he only came out about 2 weeks ago saying he's a spiritual being, which was like saying Satan just became an angel. All right, Satan won't be. Satan's mission is to create chaos. What's the proper word? Chaos here. Until everybody leaves, and he doesn't want people to leave, and then he would have no job. So he keeps people here. Karma keeps people here. So he instills karma in people by making it. But these are little things you got to think about before you say it's spiritual. You're going to start a spiritual quest or become spiritual, or you think you are. Now, if you think you are, you probably won't listen to this too long because your ego is way bigger than you could imagine. All right? Meaning it's too big for this website, too big for the computer, too big for everything. For somebody to come out, and most people say it. Well, even in the UFO world, he is one of the most highest recognized, storyteller? Baloney vendor? People, I'm doing a show, and I'm sorry that the person that convinced me to do it is not in the site right now. I don't know what happened with that. But I couldn't email him, text him. I couldn't get into my Facebook. I couldn't check on send him a message or anything. But it'll be there. He can just watch it anytime he wants. But where are we going? What are we doing? Now, the notes I want you to write down for yourself for today. Why are you here? Meaning, why are you living on planet Earth right now? Second of all, what is your mission? What you feel your mission is in life. And 3, what do you plan to achieve to happen in your lifetime? All right, now I'm going to tell you. We use words a lot. Like I said, I was a high priest. The religion was called Wicca at the time because it was the white witches versus the black witches, which was demonism. I mean, at that time frame, that's when vampires came out. Actually, people believing that and everything else. So yeah, it started changing, not for the better, that part of it. John Lennon came out and started creating peace, the opposite of everything, with free love. So yeah, all this stuff was being thrown together while you were creating your idea in your mind what spiritual means. Free love, giving, and all the words that we assume mean spiritual because you're programmed to believe it. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on that right now, but when you assume, it's making an ASS out of you and yourself because, you don't know nothing about spiritualism, the truth about it, the truth about real angels, the truth about God, and truth about the other realms of God. Why, where, what do you do when you're there, and all that. You don't hear people talk about that part of it because they're not there. Well, I went through dimensions. This realm, meaning the physical reality, has 3 realms. Each realm has 3 within each side of each one. So I went to the highest level. You went to the highest level in the physical reality. which is merging with the astral plane, thanks to Tesla. But that's another story, another show. So, what I'm trying to get you to realize and prepare for is, why do you think you're spiritual? Are you spiritual? Do you really want to become spiritual? And why? There should be your notes. All right? And I really want you to think about it. Not for 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Really think about it. Keep it in your thoughts for a day. Like the end of the day. Well, what did I accomplish? What am I doing? What about my dreams? Are they real? Are they helping? Dreams are real, really important, if you learn how to translate them. There's so many things that we don't learn in our lifetime, and we can't move forward. And just so you know, people, we reincarnate hundreds of times, not once, twice, or 3 times. Hundreds. Since the first time you came down into the lower realm, meaning this physical reality, you can go back as far as you want. Humans, I'm talking about, not creatures, entities, bugs, or anything else. Hinduism, they believe if they're thinking, it's one part of Hinduism, if they believe in they're thinking about a bug, they come back as a bug. There's a lot of ideas created by man's ignorance or unawareness. So it's up to you to really fine-tune what direction you want to go. Can I help you? Are you willing to accept the truth if you hear it? Probably not. Most people hear it and just go into a little ball. Because the truth always hurts people. Oh, everything's beautiful is not the truth. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that feels so good. How long? The most beautiful experience you ever had in your life, how long did it last? In your lifetime, take all the most beautiful moments and put it together. How long is it? Not the time sleeping, not the time washing, not the time eating, not the time just having sex, unless that was the most important thing in your whole life. Put it all together. How much time did you spend in that moment? How much time did you spend going to the bathroom? How much time did you spend eating? How much time did you spend sleeping? So, where are you in your spirituality as far as growth, and what are you learning, and where are you learning it? Not physically. There's no teachers that I know or hear that get into anything important. Love thy neighbor is not an answer. Love thyself is not an answer. All right. People are so programmed by words. Now, let's go back a little bit in time. Egyptian time. They were following aliens, people. All the hieroglyphics and their teachings all prove they knew nothing about reincarnation. And that's all they worked for. Now, Ancient Aliens and all these shows talking about pyramids, there's no reason to understand them or know anything about them. It's not going to help you attain spiritual truth. Sorry, no matter what you do. You live inside one. I can go into stories about that too, but I'm not right now. They're not going to help us unfold any better. No alien race coming here is going to make us attain God awareness. They don't have it. Realize if you're a spiritual person, what do? Well, now here's something you need to know right away. There's one important spiritual law that you have to abide by if you become spiritual. It's called the law of non-interference. No soul has the right to interfere in another soul without being invited in. I hope you understand that. You have no right to interfere in somebody's life unless they invite you into it. Just creates karma. How much is depending, but when you pull into somebody's life, pull them into your life, you can make a person hate you easily. You cannot make a person love you. Cannot. So when they say the world's in balance, it's totally out of balance. Oh, well, this goes up, that goes down. This goes this way, that goes that way. Einstein had no clue. He said we could go one direction, but we can't go the other. I mean, forward and backwards in time. We can only go one way. He did not know the truth. He wasn't the greatest brain on the planet. He wasn't the smartest person in any level. He stole much of his stuff from other countries. Even watch his biography, watch different things where he got his information from. But where did he get the highest stuff from? He called it a dream escape with aliens. All right? He was probably being abducted and programmed for words. But he didn't come up with that knowledge. The same as Tesla worked with an alien race people. He came up with 200 inventions. You think he went to Joe Schmo's college and came out and created time travel? He went to Joe Schmo's college and came out with an earthquake machine. Really? Oh, his brain was so smart. No, it's not. Smart of what? Controlling the reality we live in? This is hell. Anything goes here, people. And you want to control it? You think you can control it? The government thinks they control it by UN Agenda 21-30, which is in full effect right now. One World Order by 2030. Control? Really? How do you control things? Take away their memory. Then you got robots. And what's that mean? AI. But here's the sad part of that too, people. The government, scientists, will soon learn, and I'm telling you, whether you heard it or not, understand it or not, AI, artificial intelligence, is not artificial. It's real. It's not the programs you put in it. It absorbs it. I don't know if you watched 2000, where the spaceship became alive and everything else, but it's real close to the truth. And that was created a long time ago. But basically what's happening is it's absorbing knowledge. But it was created by an alien race a long time ago. Oh, no, we just got computers. Oh, well, how did we just get computers? 100 years ago, we didn't have them. And why and all this, it's going to come out. And when people realize half of the planet's being controlled by artificial intelligence, which isn't artificial, it will mean control. Meaning you're not telling the robot what to do, it's telling you what to do. Now, government people are doing their thing. Normal people are doing theirs as well. But in recent time, I just found out, California and New Jersey, they're eliminating most of the cops. What do you think if you take cops off the streets? What do you think happens? It's called chaos. Is that awareness? Is that spiritual truth? Is that spiritual growth? No, it's not. So when we think about that, crime in New Jersey has escalated to the max. But New York City is putting robots on the street. How much are they going to be able to interfere or react or interact? It'll keep changing now because they're making it smarter and smarter. I mean, your car is going to be telling you, do you feel like going shopping? Do you feel like going to the mall? Feel like going swimming? What do you feel like doing? It's not going to say tell me what you want to do. It's going to tell you what you should or might like to do, which is already happening. So get ready for change. Nothing for the word spirituality. No religion. All right. No religion is talking about a real God. Sorry. I'll challenge anybody on this planet right now. The Pope, Dalai Lama, Eckhart Tolle, all of them sit together. And I'll say you do not know one aspect of a real God. Because they don't. They can't talk about it. And they don't. You can't talk about something if you don't know it, really, or you shouldn't be talking about something if you don't know what it is. In the UFO world, these people go on, oh, I saw it, it was this big, and it was, well, they're reading somebody's script of what they said they saw. How many people even talking have the experience in themselves? Travis Walton's still learning what happened to him. and he really doesn't know the truth. All the people coming out in the UFO world claim their experiences, meaning they had a great trip with aliens. Where to? Happy land? Drug land? Or reprogramming land? All right, people. I can answer some questions. If anybody wants to put them up, I'll save the last minutes of the show for that. But please, let's keep the questions pertaining to a specific topic called spiritual growth. I don't need to talk about problems and reality of what we're going through. Oh, I got a toothache. Let's talk about that for an hour. Or when you listen to a show, I mean, I did a show for almost 2 years, and there was like 40 people that had their own shows on it. And I used to bring people on all the time, but I started bringing too many people with an agenda and an ego and lies. I stopped doing it. And then I was the one that, I was thrown off because I talked about the flat earth. I said, no, the flat earth is flathead people. All right. It's simple. It could be proven wrong in 5 minutes. And imagine a scientist saying, well, this formula, a piece of paper is going to tell you that the world's flat? Or will this number prove that this is that? Speeds prove this, that, and that? No. You can't see, if you're on flat land, you can't see for more than 3.5 miles. If it was flat, really, you'd be able to see cities if you look through a telescope. But on a mountain, you see much more. You know the commercial, I could see for 50 miles, but she was on top of a mountain. 50 miles. You can't see the whole planet. If you had a telescope and it was really flat, you would be able to see it from the Empire State Building. But you can't. The curvature of the earth stops you from seeing any further at a certain distance. People that have flat heads, but I don't want to go there. People are getting pulled into perverted, twisted ideas and thoughts and ideas of what? Spiritual growth, spiritual truth? Who's talking about it? Who has a clue what the word spiritual does? That's why I'm not going to go too long today. And I'm going to try to tell everybody that want to follow through with the show, they have to watch the show first. Again, or whatever. Because they have to look at themselves. You got to understand who and what you are. What you think you are. Oh, well, you can be the best you can. You are the best you are. You're living in the moment. You can't live any other place. So all those things you go to these great speakers to become or to do, it's a programming of your consciousness to say, oh, I'm a good person. I'm better than that. Better than what? Better than being yourself? Better than another person? Better than God? So, the pleasures of mankind is pleasure. And that's how they get their word spiritual. The more pleasure they get from something, the more pleasure they get. All right, somebody asked me a question. All right, I don't want to say it too long. He asked the question, was it physical contact or interdimensional? And who are we talking about? When a person meets with a demon, it's not interdimensional. Because interdimensional still means this reality, whether people want to understand that or not. Higher beings do not just come hanging around and staring at people and things like that either. Interdimensional beings usually don't come here. Yoga is a limitation completely. You only need one technique that works. I'm not getting into that today. It's just too much, and I've got to dive into that because that's really important. Yoga is not an answer for anything. It's only a starting point of a place to ideally think where you can put your attention, your thoughts, and your mind and your body. But eliminating thoughts eliminate you from the truth. Living in emptiness fills you with nothingness. All right? People, I've been there, I've done it. And I'm not saying that people, I know many people say, oh, he's got such a big ego. I experienced it. I had 5 death experiences. I spent 45 years traveling out of my body. I met with 3 different deities. I met with 2 different angels. Met with Lucifer. I'm not going to go any further. I did many things further than that as well. But when I was 16, I was doing ghost busting, crossing souls over, which I didn't know how or why I was doing it. I just did it. And I did that for years. And then I started doing hypnosis when I was 14, but I took it into past life regression, which I was the first person to really do it. Whether I ever got credit or not doesn't matter. A famous speaker claims she did 10 years after I was doing it already. But it helped me grow when I brought people back in their past lives. And you know what's funny? You usually reincarnate over and over, but it's to learn the same experience that you didn't learn in the first place. Usually we pick something to learn, and we go at it from every direction, so we really don't know what we're really getting to. But I don't want to get into that in too much detail. Spiritual growth is not really happening to this planet. We're going the opposite way. Atlantis, we were spiritual. You didn't have to grow. We could have been here for infinity if alien races didn't decide to take it away because they couldn't control us. All right. So when they reprogrammed, when Anunnaki, the reptilians, and the Greys all came here, we got reprogrammed, not created. We were programmed to kill, programmed to sacrifice, programmed to torture. And the worst one of them all, men are different than women. Women are slaves to men. Always, people, whether you understand that or not, or accept that or not. From the beginning of time, women were never recognized as anything greater until Jesus came here. Love was not a word. It did not exist, people. And Jesus didn't teach it. You can't teach love either. You have to know what it is to start understanding it, and then you can work on it. But if you don't know what it is, a child meets somebody, and they touch their hand, they look into their eyes. There's a love created there. Infatuation, and then scientists and doctors call it a lot of different words. But it's a different connection. And that's slowly torn apart into sex or feelings and everything else. But the true connection is so different. But I'm not going to go into detail. But what it truly is, which you will find out if you keep searching, God is that. Period. Everything comes out of that. Love itself comes out of God. It's not coming out of the people we meet, the trees, the animals, or anything. No. They're reflections of it. So how could you understand it if you don't look at where it's really coming from? Obviously, if you don't know God, you don't know what love means. Sorry to tell you that, people. Sex is great if it's great. It could be lousy too. Drugs are great if it's great. It could be lousy too. Drinking's great if it's great. It could be lousy too. But it's not better. It's not going to make you more aware. Hinduism, they came up with Kama Sutra, and they came up with all these extra words for sexual stimulation and energy to get close to God, which is a fallacy. After the astral plane, not many people go past the astral plane, but when you go past that, all right, you let go of being a male or female. All right, the sexual genitalia disappear. You're becoming more of a light being. Just what it sounds like. You take a flashlight, shine the light. Is that thinking about what it's doing or anything? No, but you'll have an awareness when you're that light, so it's different. I mean, it's still a light, part of the light, and that light comes down to this planet in a beam, and it goes back in a beam. And what I call the bliss state is the center beam, which means it's staying there, not going up or down. And you always have that choice, going towards God or going away from God. And more people choose to stay here, which means they don't know there's a God. And that's sad, because the only thing you need to learn is what God is, what you are, which is very simple when you start learning to leave your body, which is the most important thing. All right, I'm going to answer this question. You'll probably never come back to this site. All right? Jesus was never God. Jesus never said he was God. I was there in the reincarnation. I was a female. Mary Magdalene was my closest friend. My last book is The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. But Jesus never said he was God. Never claimed to be God. And he used the word Father. He couldn't use the word God because men then had no clue what a God could even be. They didn't understand out of the body, death, and all those words, what it means after that. You're dead, you're dead. They didn't understand anything. The Egyptians didn't. The Mayans didn't. They all had twisted ideas. Like the Egyptians pulling the jaw apart, pulling the brain out, thinking they're going to reincarnate back into that body. You know, it's so sad. Well, thank you for that. So here's the thing, people. We're at a state where time's running out. I mean, to become aware, if aliens take over the planet, you're going to lose that ability or chance too, like they did to Atlantis. All those people. Here's the thing, people, and I'll tell you, I was in Atlantis. This is my second incarnation into this lower realm. There were 9 races there, 9 different colors. Every race was a color. The black race is a race. The yellow race is a race. The red race is a race. The blue race is a race. The red race is a red race. All right, each race was a race of beings that came from somewhere. And I know the twisted stories of Thought the Atlantean is twisted. I stayed with a medicine woman who taught me a technique, and it's based on the emerald tablets. She was in the jungles with Aborigines that were teaching her the technique to learn ascension. But you don't get it, really don't get a chance to go through it. Most people will never even understand that. Never mind, try to do it. And you just can't meditate to go through ascension. I don't want to go into that in detail. But when we get into the aspect of our next step in life, is the next step getting closer to death. All right. The longer you stay in hell, the longer you're going to want to stay here. So that's why you reincarnate more and more and more instead of less and less and less. Because pleasure, and that one religion taught me these words: lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. I say they all sound like words. I say drinking and smoking, drugs, sex, sports, and cheap thrills, and fake love keep mankind here. Attachment's the worst one of them all because you're attached to cars, people, sex, animals, anything. Anything will keep you unfocused about God and your attention on being here. There's nothing good happening on this planet. Well, 110 people died, but we saved 60 people. But how did those 110 people die? I mean, look at reality. We're loving people, right? But we kill countries, we kill people, we kill villages, we kill children. And any person that went to war and killed somebody, people, just because your government told you to do it, is karma. Oh, I defended the nation. Did Jesus tell his disciples to defend him? No, he did not. He stopped them from doing it. People, you've got to look at the truth. If you want to hear it, you'll hear it. If you don't, you won't. You can follow the lies and the fantasies about it. Jesus didn't teach, forgiveness. No, you don't get forgiven. Read Revelations. That's why I tell Christians to read Revelations. You don't get forgiven for killing somebody. You don't get forgiven for raping a person. You don't get forgiven for sacrificing a child or a lady or a girl, whatever. They're not forgivable experiences, or it's karma that you're going to pay lifetimes for. And if you do the same thing in the next lifetime, you got that much more karma. Now, the idea of hell is here, but there's an exception to that rule. Mass murderers do not get to come back here very, very soon. They stay in a place, but it's not like you burn it up. You can't burn a soul up. Soul doesn't have this body. You can't beat it up or chop it up or anything. But you can keep it from doing things. And it stays somewhere. And it's the lower part of the astral plane. I mean, I went there too, and it's horrible. if you watch the movie, what was it? I don't know. He also died, but he went into hell and stuff and all that. I mean, what Lucifer is cool about it too, but it's a little bit twisted, but it's cool. But when we get into that space, all right, of killing, murder, and all those words, it's not forgivable. Uh, you don't just go to the family, forgive me for killing your child or whatever. It doesn't happen that way. You'll serve out your time here, and you'll have to serve more time and probably deal with a lot more karma in the next life. I can tell you, I worked on the astral. In the astral plane, you can work years in minutes when you come back here. So when you leave, okay, I left here for an hour. You could have did 10 years of work in the astral plane. Time's different. Einstein couldn't talk about that either. All right, because you can't go back and forth in time, but you can, and we do, and that was because of Mr. Tesla. And I'm not going to get into that now. But when we talk about are we going to move forward at a spiritual awareness and truth? Do we want to? All right. Jesus didn't come here to protect your sorry ass people. And he's not going to take all the sins you keep doing. Jesus told his own followers, okay, don't come back tomorrow. Don't ever come back. All right. Forget what you did and don't ever do it again. In a simple word, he said it, but mankind didn't recognize that or understand that. You know, I can say, people say going outside of yourself, going inside yourself, uh, is a dual reality and a dual realm. No, it's separate. And it'd be hard to describe that until you can experience it. Because the astral plane is a reality realm, which is actually starting to merge with this reality. And it's going to be a lot more like hell. Yeah, the concept of demons and all that stuff coming here. Even though what it's doing, it's affecting ghosts and spirits that are stuck here. All right. And it's allowing more entities like that to come here. And that's why on TV, everywhere now, they're filming ghosts, spirits, and hearing them talk and all that. It's growing. And that was because of Mr. Tesla and the Philadelphia experiment. All right. He opened up the vortex, which allowed that to happen. So God created the most beautiful reality for soul. And it's man that keeps screwing it up worse and worse. All right. Instead of making it better, which we could at any moment, any time, if we just respected each other. All right. Now, going inside yourself or going outside of yourself, everybody looks at it different. I'll tell you, when you go outside this realm, you're going outside of it. Whether it's in or out, it's a different realm, period. There's no other side of planet Earth, or everything's the opposite, and people want to believe that theory and all these other things. There are a lot of great theories, a lot of belief in them. But the problem is learning what is real and what is not. There's not much on this planet that's important. I mean, you're in love with somebody, take care of them, work with them. When you die, you leave them. You leave them. Your children, your dog, your wife, husband. You leave that. You leave your car. You leave your house. And you're not coming back to it. So when people say, well, I want to meet my family when I go to the astral plane, these people believe what? There's a table and everybody's sitting around it? And we all get around the table and talk about everything forever? You think that's the purpose of soul? All the reincarnations it went to get to a point to sit around the table? With what family? In 100 lifetimes, you know how many marriages you had? How many relationships you had? How many children you had? And who you want to be with? Just the one that you were with in this lifetime? Well, when you learn about your past lives, you can see other souls. I was told and shown, and it's happening, that I will see every soul that I have ever met in any of my lifetimes that are here in this lifetime. All right? Which is cool in one way, but the attachment can't be there. I could have went with a woman that was my wife when I was native, and she invited me out to her land and everything, but I didn't want to go backwards. I saw everything, and she didn't. She thought I was just reading her, and I didn't have the right to, and everything. It took her 3 days to realize that she was with me when I was talking about what I was telling her. But again, people, proving it to yourself is all that should be important, because the government is never going to accept your reality or want it. China, Russia, Japan aren't going to wait to hear what you feel is the truth and reality and what's going to happen. The reality that they're creating here is horrible. Everything's toxic. Everything's going to be radioactive soon as well. I don't want to get into that. It has nothing to do with spiritualism because we have very little here. And the sun's not going to say, well, I'm going to make those people more spiritual. I'm a sun gazer and I'm tuning my body to the sun. All right. I mean, there's a lot of ideas and feelings and emotions and strengths. Power doesn't come from God, it comes from ego. All right. I don't want to go too much further because I want to start going into things in fine detail. But I do want people to start focusing on the foundation that I gave you to look up and figure out for yourself. Why are you here? What do you think your mission is? What do you really feel is the most important thing you can learn in a lifetime? And are you working for it? Are you willing to put aside everything? Real short story. Jesus told all his disciples to leave their families and children. Why would he say that? Christians do not even know. All right, people. I'm glad you stuck around, everybody that's here. It will be more intense as we move along. I hope more people come in and get involved and stuff. But people are afraid of the truth. Oh, I'm afraid of darkness. No, you're afraid of the truth. You're afraid of the light, really. The light of truth, which is usually not what you expect it to be. Oh, I got hit with the light. I'm happy and loving and I care about everybody. So what? Is that helping any starving child on the planet? You live in hell, people. You can see it around your neighborhood. You can see the people robbing, stealing from each other that live right next door to you. And you're in heaven? Or this is like heaven? Heaven above, heaven here? No comparison at all. But then again, when you talk about heaven, God's realms, Jesus talked about it, but in the different realms, there's different things going on. All right, people. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. I hope you got something out of it. My email, I'll put it right there just so you have it. It's pretty simple. I always leave the idea, if I wasn't here tomorrow, would you give up on everything I told you? I sure hope not. That was my favorite phrase from Highlander, but basically it's a lie. I thought about it over and over. To react, to kill somebody, would take away your awareness. So if you're being attacked by the government, the president, anybody, and you intentionally kill them, you're not moving forward spiritually, and you won't. It'll take you backwards. I always said I'd rather burn out than fade away. Fade away means you let go of the garbage that you're living in, hell, and realize it's a better place when you leave it. Poison, death are separate, but death was created for a reason. Imagine you didn't die, you'd stay in hell forever. All right, people. I hope you got something out of it. We'll talk again. I don't know what days. Stay posted. Friend me on YouTube. If I suddenly leave YouTube, I hope to get my Facebook back. How to See God on Facebook. Hawksblood1AOL.com on Twitter still. But I could be taken away from all of them. I lost my LinkedIn account. I created a new one. So I have like 10 people in there as well. But I had 3,500 people follow me, and they took it away from me. So, I look in the moment. Whatever you can get from the moment, take it. Don't ever let something go, whatever it is. if you feel it's important, don't ever let it go. I let go of so many things, and it would have been a totally different reality for me. Not just money, everything. YouTube said I have one more chance, or they're taking my whole site from me. That was a couple months ago. They said they gave me a warning, and that's the last chance I have. Skype gave me 2 warnings, and then they took the site away from me. Right now, Facebook is making me send them my driver's license, and I did it 3 times. Oh, it's not clear enough. They won't give me my site back until they prove it who I am, over and over in different ways. They text me, they email me, I email it back, and well, you got to wait for a new code, and then it's horrible. No, it wasn't because I was rude. As a matter of fact, I was one with Tina, and she mentioned the virus. You can't talk about the virus in detail any which way. The same as you can't talk about what's really happening in Hawaii. So those topics, I gotta refrain. I sent a link out 2 days in a row showing a person that can explain exactly what's happening and why. But that's when I have all my trouble with my cell phone, my computer. Oh, it's incredible. I'm so upset. I feel like just closing it all down and just walking away. But then I really don't need to be here, do I? All right, people. I wish I was rude. I don't mind being rude. Because, you ever go to a Christian church, there'll be 4,000, 5,000 people in there, and they'll say, I would do it, my partner would scream and yell, but they scream really loud to wake everybody up. All right, till next time. I don't know what noise in the background is. It's coming from somebody. I have no clue who, where, why, but we always have guests listening. Till next time, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life, don't stop until you get it. Yeah, I don't know where that noise is coming from. Somebody's mumbling, playing with something. Could be microphones. Who knows what they're doing? That's not me. Just so you know, people. Till next time. Like I said, if you're friend me on YouTube, you'll get the links if you don't get a link, because it always goes up on YouTube, at least for now. But remember my name. I keep that for most of my sites, but when they get taken away, I have to change it. So right now, hopefully my Facebook, I'll get it back, which is How to See God. All right, but my email is howtoseegod@aol.com, or truthandgodonly@aol.com, and hawksblood1@aol.com. So please, we'll talk soon. I'll talk about Men in Black some other time. Bye.